Sports Open Hours, sponsored by Lenaro. And today we're actually going to be taking on quite a exciting show, right? So this is the beginning of the Open Hours Season 2, and we are starting with a deep look into what Gumsticks does. Gumsticks is a very cool company that recently has started taking part in a lot of 96 Sports activities. We have a featured guest here, Keith Lee. We're going to introduce him in just a moment. He's going to get to talk and explain a lot of stuff today. And then we also have, of course, true to the Open Hours name, time for anyone in the call to ask questions. We have 96 Sports people here. We're going to have Keith, possibly some other people from Gumsticks in here to take your questions. We'd love to hear feedback on anything regarding 96 Sports. So what we usually do is we recap what we talked about yesterday, or not yesterday, but last week in the last show, and then we move on to taking questions. But in the nature of the season, so what we do instead is we bring on featured guests, and this is going to happen for the next 10 or so episodes. We bring on guests, we interview, we talk about new exciting tech, and we want to keep this as informal as possible. And this is because this show it's not necessarily about us talking at you. This show is about everyone that's in this call, and we want to make sure that you have the opportunity to speak your mind as well. So this is your medium to get in touch with the developers. It's your source to communicate with us how you feel about 96 Sports. And of course, we always welcome demos and exciting things that you've been doing in the 96 Sports community. So keep that in mind when we're talking. Feel free to interrupt us at any time. We want to make this an open back and forth between us and the community. So here we go. Open Hours, Season 2, starting right now. Perfect. We have Keith Lee in the call, and we're just going to jump straight to this. Keith Lee, welcome to the 96 Sports Open Hours. How are you today?
So I'm great this morning. I wish I had more time to enjoy my coffee, but
well, cheers to that.
Here.
Yeah, no, awesome. So now I know that this is kind of semi-unstructured, but we wanted to bring you in here to talk to us about the various cool things that you've been doing over at Gumsticks. But before we dive into you kind of just telling us, hey, this is what I'm doing and everything at Gumsticks, I kind of wanted to ask you a little bit about yourself personally, like what you did before Gumsticks and why you got into the electronics business, I guess you could say.
Sure. I'm actually kind of fresh out of my master's degree. I just wrapped that up, I don't know, about 10 months ago. Finished up at UBC and defended my thesis, and now I'm here. They picked me up right away. So yeah, I've been at Gumsticks for about 9 months now, and it was born out of in part what I was doing with my thesis, and additionally just my interest in like making things and messing around with computers and all that stuff. So so other than that, yeah, I spent 6 years in school, raised a few kids along the way, and here I am. So Gumsticks has been around. Can I jump into this? I'll just talk about Gumsticks now, or I don't, unless you got questions about my personal life.
No, of course. Yeah, I shared the Gumsticks website there, so people are free to check that out. And then for those of you who would like to follow Keith Lee here on Twitter, that's his Twitter as well. So yeah, no, please tell us more about Gumsticks. That's why we're here.
Okay, so Gumsticks has been around since about 2004, releasing a tiny single board computer called the 200X. It was Intel PXA 225 based. And after some time, we released a robot kit, and then we released our Vertex and Vertex Pro series, and this is what it looks like here. You can see it's pretty small, has SD and multiple risers on it. So that was the Vertex and the Vertex Pro, and that was our breadwinner for many years. And around shortly after that, we released the Overo, which is a lot smaller, literally about the size of a stick of juicy fruit. And then a year after that, we released Duo Vero, which is the multi-core version, about the same size. So these comms, they're pretty incredible. Like they have all the functionality of a computer. In fact, the Overo, I don't know if you can see this, but the Overo even has included a 27-pin connector for a parallel camera connection, as well as Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and whatnot. And yeah, so these things, they're they're in space. They're strapped to the side of the International Space Station right now. They're doing all kinds of crazy stuff. They're in industrial applications. There's some consumer products that are using Gumsticks comms. There even was a supercomputer based on Gumsticks Overo. 7 separate Overos operating in unison over TCP, which was, I was not around for that, but that is a crazy piece of hardware. So around 2000, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, so you have a lot of gadgets in there, basically, from all Gumsticks gadgets.
Oh, well, yeah. We have tons of expansion boards, like crazy. This shelf back here, these two right here are completely full with our boards, and then that little one up there has like tons of comms in it and everything like that. And then we've got another one way down there with all of our third-party stuff. I'll talk more about that later. But I mean, one of the focuses here is the AeroCore. We're going to be talking about the AeroCore 2 for 96 boards shortly. But I mean, the AeroCore has been around for a little while. It was developed as part of a university postgraduate project. Sorry, it was a PhD project. I can't remember which school right now. My brain is still running low on coffee. So there's been the AeroCore 2, and the AeroCore 250, which is just a different form factor of the same board. Here is the AeroCore for Overo. The primary difference being the AeroCore for Overo uses an onboard GPS module, whereas the AeroCore 2, apart from a few additional features, uses an offboard antenna. So you know, you can actually cover it.
Real quick, Keith, I want to explain to everyone on here exactly what the AeroCore 2 is. For those of you that aren't familiar with it, it's a mezzanine board that sits on top of R96 boards. So he's going to talk about it a lot more, obviously, but what you're able to do with these mezzanine boards, and in particular, which is very interesting about the whole Gumsticks model, is that you can take these devices and attach them to expand on your devices. And so it's a very cool board that we've seen pop up. I just posted the link in there. And I was kind of hoping, actually, Keith, if you wouldn't mind talking about your participation in the AeroCore 2. I'm not sure if you actually played a big part, or if you did, it'd be really cool if you talked to us about how you went about that.
I have to admit, I wasn't directly involved in the development of the AeroCore 2, but I have been using it extensively with the Dragon. It's a great test platform for it too, just because there's multiple power options. You can power it off of the barrel connector, or has a 16-volt power connection there. Yeah, it's got console. It communicates on board between itself and a microcontroller, which is an interesting interface. Lots of I/O, and I've been especially using it to try and get a CSI2 camera up and running, which so far hasn't worked. I'm sure everyone in the community has been watching the forums on that one, and there hasn't been a whole lot of progress up until recently. So here's actually this is the AeroCore 2 for Dragon board. There's the mezzanine connector there. Yeah, so it has an onboard ARM core, ARM compute module for managing the stay in the air flight system. So it monitors a collection of sensors and maintains altitude, keeps the rotors running. And so basically, this thing can fly a drone by remote control without the comm. You just slap this thing onto a drone and off you go. But you add the comm in there, and you get your Wi-Fi, your Bluetooth. Plus, on this one, there's a connector for a cell modem. So you can literally remotely control it from your desktop to anywhere in the world.
And
yeah,
it's my understanding that you're going to be showing us something like this.
Well, I am working on something.
Okay.
I think the plan is to do the full demo on next week's show. But I can at least show you what I'm working on and what I've got going in the office. But not only the AeroCore, but what we have done recently, and we announced it at the conference. Gordon was there talking about it. Was the Nodana, which is our own flavor of 96 board, and it doesn't have an onboard computer. It's for the Intel Joule module. So there's that, and then on top of that, we have also announced the Radium.
Oh, is that the IoT
Yeah,
specification?
this is the IoT spec.
I haven't
With
even heard of that one.
with the yeah, it's not ready yet. It's been announced. We have our boards for test. But yeah, so what we've got on there is instead of an ARM microcontroller, we've actually put on the brand new Intel Curie. So we're just doing things a little Intel flavored right now for that. So we thought it would be interesting to get that up and running.
I'm curious now. You brought up. I thought we were just going to be talking about AeroCore too now. So you bring up the Nadana x86 Intel chip. I mean, what's the operating systems that you're going to be able to run on that? Is there
Well,
anything that's set up yet?
we've been able to build Yocto for it so far. We're working on Intel released Ostro with it. Like they released it with Ostro. Sorry, excuse me. And we do have Windows 10 IoT up and running on there, but we haven't done a whole lot of testing with it, so we don't know exactly how well it's talking to our boards.
Yeah, so very unique. A 96 boards running an Intel chip, basically. It's a one of a kind so far in our.
Yeah, so far it's a first, and we're eager to get this tested and up there for you, so that people can play around with that. But I mean, the big problem being we want to sort of be in the same software community, and we're not quite there yet. We got to get at least Yocto building on there, and then all's fair.
Okay. Well, when things start coming together, maybe we get you on here again. You could talk about that more as well.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. I mean, I've been messing around with the Intel Joule since its release, and it's pretty fast. It's pretty cool. So it's interesting to see such a small form factor for like a full-fledged 64-bit x86. So.
Absolutely. Keith, real quick, I just want to open the floor for anyone that's in the chat here. If you have any questions for Keith right now, I mean, you can go ahead and speak up or post them in the chat. Give you kind of a couple seconds before we keep going. Sometimes I know it's tough to interrupt. I'm just used to interrupting.
Yeah, no, please interrupt. I would rather field questions and try and come up with this on my own.
Cool. All right. Well, no. So then I know that unless you had something else to talk about, I have a million questions. There's the AeroCore 2, and then you say that it pairs to the Dragon board. I know that, at least from what I understand, it was designed around the Dragon board. But we actually have David Mandala is in our call right now, unless he left.
Yeah.
He was able to test the AeroCore 2 on more than just the Dragon board. So he was telling us that actually the AeroCore 2, just because you follow the specs so well, it actually works with all of our 96 boards.
And that was our hope. That was exactly it. We didn't have any of the other modules to test, so we weren't confident in saying that this was the AeroCore 2 for 96 boards. So we went with saying it was the AeroCore 2 for Dragon Board 410C to play it safe. we were hoping that our mezzanine connector was going to be fully to spec, and that once we had a chance to test it, we would be able to say that this is a 96 boards product and not just a Dragon board product. So.
Yep,
Yeah,
it
but
works quite nicely, at least on the initial test. So I obviously don't own a drone, so I couldn't go too far, but I did get the drone software talking to it, and it ran with a Hikey, it ran with a bubble gum. So best I can tell, it does exactly as we would expect it to do.
Awesome. I'm glad to hear that.
I was going to say, for those of you who don't know, I mean, David, he's our community manager for 96 boards. So he does a lot of community building and testing here. So yeah, can't see his face right now. He didn't have his video on.
Cool. Coffee yet.
Yeah. So I took some screenshots one time when you popped in and you didn't have your coffee yet. I should send them to you. It was they were nice.
It's a little scary.
Yeah,
It's a little scary. Dave without coffee is not something you want to see.
Yeah. So Keith, back to the AeroCore 2 and Dragon board. Now, with the AeroCore 2, at least when I heard about it, I also heard about a program from Gumsticks that's called Geppetto. So I don't know if you would like to talk a little bit about Geppetto, because I'm really interested in hearing a little bit more about this. I personally haven't had the opportunity to play with it yet. So maybe you could speak to us as though we don't know anything about it.
Sure, I can definitely do that. It's easier to talk about it like no one knows what I'm saying, just because I can start from the beginning. So Geppetto was originally designed as a tool for our engineers to quickly design and turn around prototype boards. And then as it matured, we saw the potential in bringing it out to the public and allowing you to use it to your own ends. Basically, the thing that Geppetto does is it allows you to design your own expansion board, or in some cases, a single board computer, to your specifications, to your project specifications, with a simple drag and drop interface that just about anyone could do. I mean, it requires a little bit of understanding for, off-board communication and, embedded systems. But beyond that, it's straightforward enough that just about anyone could use it. Basically, it's a drag and drop interface, and it has pop-up menus for making connections. I'll actually do a quick a demo here in a minute. But what you do is you choose a. Go ahead, David. No?
Maybe his mic is just not muted. That's why.
Okay. So basically, when you log into when you bring up Geppetto, you have your workspace, and it has a little green box, and that is your board. That is the board that you start with, and you can go and you can drag in a processor or a COM or in the case of 96 boards, a mezzanine connector, and then that provides to your board all of the communication buses, GPIOs, camera connections, special connections, all that kind of thing. It's all provided by this COM connector or processor. And then you have all kinds of different headers, communications chips, onboard systems, sensors that you can drag on there. And using a drag and drop interface and a point and click context menu, you can just connect all this stuff together. And as long as everything turns green, your board's ready to go. And you can just press the purchase button, and we'll get your board to you for, $2,000. It's great to talk about it, but it's a lot better to show you. So the guy, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. So real quick. Now, my understanding is, I mean, in the past, before Geppetto or before anyone heard of Geppetto, is that you would have to go learn, and I'm going to pronounce this. People pronounce it differently, KiCad or KiCad. You would have to go learn how to use KiCad, KiCad, and there was a bit of a learning curve for that CAD program. Not only that, is that then you design it, you have to find someone to go build it for you. So then you would send it to a company, a manufacturer, they would build it for you, and the lead time, who knows what. But with Geppetto, I understand that there's actually a button inside the program. Is that it? That you can literally submit your designs to Gumsticks, and then they will send it to you fairly quickly?
Yeah, we say between 3 and 4 weeks, so about a month turnaround, and we do the engineering for you. So we mechanically test the board to ensure that all of the signals are going to the right place, that all of the right pull up and pull down resistors are where they should be. We'll rework your board to make sure that it does that it works in case there is something to fix, and we'll walk you through the entire process. We'll consult with you. We'll make sure that we know exactly what you want your board to do, if there's any custom work that needs to be done in the background. But technically, you could click the purchase button, talk to us for an hour, and then sit and wait, and it'll just show up and it'll be ready to go. That's the idea. So it reduces engineering costs and time to market, and yeah, I mean, 4 weeks is pretty good for a new board. So
Yeah, no, the website I posted in the chat is for the Geppetto, gumsticks.com/Geppetto, 2 P's, 2 T's. And it has a little video right there that just kind of shows the process very quickly. But yeah, you said you were going to give us a little screencast demo, maybe?
yeah, sure, I can start that right now, actually. Let me just
Awesome.
bring it up. And
Well, while you do that, I actually, what is it? Michael Welling, you're in the call, right?
Here.
Hey, Mike, what's up? So you were able to play with Geppetto, right?
Yes, I used it, and I actually posted a couple designs. They're the same design, actually, but I added a couple more features to their little community thing. I call it 96 Boards Exploder or something like that. It was just fun. I was just trying it, seeing what I could do. There were some things that I wanted to do, but I couldn't.
So did you have any
And-
questions for Keith here? Or
Well, it
any...
would be more comments than questions, because, I mean, it'd be nice to be able to put the comm module on the bottom side of the board so that I have more flexibility, something like that. And the power connector selection for that specific board was not good. You can only use one of them.
okay, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say, like, go, please. You take
Okay.
it away, Keith. Yeah.
All right, so there are some limitations to using Geppetto for your board, but that can be overcome by talking to us. For example, like you said, the comm connection. Are we referring to the mezzanine connection for Dragon boards?
Yeah, I wanted to put it on the bottom side of the board.
Okay. The interesting thing is, if you look at the arrow core, you can actually see that by default, the mezzanine connector is on the bottom. The reason why you can't overlay modules on top of it is we had to put that restriction in there for where our traces would go and whatnot. The idea is if you needed to reduce the size of your board by sort of squeezing things in different places, for example, the cell modem module on here, we can actually move the components on top of others to reduce the footprint of your board. And that's something that we can talk about during a consultation after your board is designed and you're ready to take it to order. So yes, there is this footprint in which you can't place any other modules, but it's still flexible once you start talking to us about it.
Yeah,
Same
I
thing.
wanted the connectors to be on the same side of the board as the mezzanine card, or as the main board. what I was looking at was having. I'd have to kind of show you a picture or something, but I wanted the connectors to be on the same side and in the peripheral of the design, so that I could have kind of the comm in the middle, not the comm, the 96 board in the middle, and then the components on the top side around the outside of it, so that it'd be more like a small single board computer.
Oh, I perfectly understand. You know what? Again, that's just something you just have to mention to us. That's actually even easier than what I thought you were proposing. That's not squeezing anything in anywhere. All you have to worry about is the height of the components you put along that middle portion that's available.
Yeah, I
Beyond that,
understand that.
you just put in a note or talk to us. Say we want the mezzanine connector on the top with the rest of the connections, and seriously, consider it done.
Okay. Yeah. I noticed that it was just kind of geographic or whatever. It didn't actually have any components in there. You just had connections between the blocks. And the blocks are probably pre-placed or semi-placed before you start. So I was just kind of thinking about the back end a little bit.
So we can actually continue on these questions in the after hours if you guys don't mind, because I want to get through the Geppetto demo. But it sounds like everything can be fixed through just communicating with Gumsticks. The process was simplified in the program, right? But I mean, everything can still be done by communicating through Gumsticks. But I like this conversation. It's just hopefully we can just continue it in the after hours, if that's all right with you guys.
I'm cool.
All right,
sure,
cool.
absolutely.
Right. Yeah. So Keith, then we're ready for the screencast.
Okay, I'll bring that back up. This one. Can you see that? Can you see my?
You are
there it
live.
Is.
Yes.
Okay, great. So this, when you go to Geppetto, this is what you're going to see. This is your workspace here. So this would be your expansion board, and let's just say, oh, we're going to make a CE edition mezzanine card. So we just plop that down there. Oh, just for system requirements, we need to put in a 16-volt power connector. So we'll just drop in a 5-volt regulator, and then click on that and on that, and hey, your board is actually now ready to go. Everything is green. If that's all you needed, you're done. But okay, that's definitely not enough. So what do we need? How about a USB console connection? So you just take your micro B jack and you grab a USB to UART module and connect them together. Now you're done. You can talk to it. Let's see. Well, how about a humidity sensor? Not sure why, but let's go for it. That needs a 3-volt regulator, which we can drop down here. And that's good to go. And like, there's so much stuff here. I mean, certain things like, obviously, our analog connections and our pulse width modulator connections aren't going to work because those aren't available on the mezzanine. In fact, I did some reading, and they're not available at all from the SoC. But I mean, we got our CSI2 connector here. We can just drag it around. You can rotate it. You can double click it to rotate. And again, it's just click, click. You're making your connections.
And then once it turns green, it's good to go.
Yeah, here we go. Just add some power, and there you go. We have we have all kinds of stuff. We've got IMUs, ambient temperature. Of course, you got your switches. One thing that we just changed recently that's really cool is when you want to add an LED, you only have to choose from top side or flip side, and then you can choose your LED color from the pop-up menu.
Oh, wow, okay.
So instead of, we used to have a red, green, blue, yellow LED, Now we just have the top side and the flip side, and that's it. That's all you need. You can choose from within the interface. And then again, we have all of these communication. We have a quad USB to UART muxer. What else is? Let's see.
Yeah, so there's a blog that you wrote, I believe, Keith. This was yours from August 23rd that we posted it, and it's on the 96 Boards blog. But this was a rapid path to market creating PCBs basically, or mezzanines or 96.
Is that the one where I reproduced the AeroCore?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah. That's I even changed a few things and reposted it on my own blog. It's interesting that the question about like customizing the board after the fact, overcoming the restrictions in Geppetto came up, because that is one of the things that we have a hard time communicating. Is even though like the board looks like this on here, and in fact it looks something like this.
Oh, okay.
Even though that's what it looks like, if you need more, if you need features to change, if you need to move things closer together or on top of each other, that's a conversation we can have. We can see what we can do for you. And that's a really hard thing to communicate, because people say, oh, well, I can put all this stuff together, but that's not exactly what I want. But
Yeah.
it can be exactly what you want, as long as it's within the the physical constraints of the hardware itself. This can go as far as designing the board yourself could. If it's possible, we can make it happen. But this makes it easier for you and faster for us to get it done.
Yeah, I think it's an amazing tool. I mean, if anyone wants to just go pick this up and experiment with it to create something for their 96 boards, I mean, let's just use, for example, since you're going to be talking about the Dragon board, that they want to plug in something to their Dragon board to break out a particular port that they don't have access to yet. I mean, they could just go in here, make it happen just that quickly.
Yeah, it's right here. Like, you can open the design. There is the Dragon board, and look, it's got our old LEDs on here. You can see it says they're inactive. We'll uprev that eventually and get rid of those, but for now you can see this is the Dragon board, the AeroCore for Dragon board right there. And then yeah, so I don't need the GPIOs. Gone. Oh, look, buzzer, that's annoying. Trust me, I've had it going in the office enough. Everyone wants me to get rid of it.
I think David had an experience with that. But yeah,
that buzzer is quite startling if you don't know it's there and you turn on the board.
Yeah. So there's actually. Oh, sorry.
Please go ahead.
There's actually a breakout at the bottom, an unpopulated jumper at the bottom that will override the buzzer. You just have to solder in some wires and connect them. So. But it's there for safety, right? It's a warning mechanism in case your battery's running low. So that's why it's there in the first place.
Oh, it's definitely definitely a good warning. I didn't realize it was going to come on when I was setting it up the first time, and I thought I had broken the bloody thing.
Yeah, and then you add on top of the fact that the fact that the speed regulators beep at you as soon as they power up too, then you're wondering where all this noise is coming from.
So Keith, we have some questions in the chat for you.
Oh, great.
Yeah, I'll read them out to you. So we have one from Graham, and he's asking, where can components be placed within the 96 board's footprint? So I think that this footprint's a little bigger, right?
Pardon me?
This footprint, the AeroCore 2 footprint's a little bigger than the 96 board footprint, right?
Yeah, so you can see I'm moving the 96 board footprint back and forth here. So we actually have our 3-volt regulator, our RAM, our UART connection, even the microcontroller sitting inside the footprint of the mezzanine connector. So we try to maximize the available space when we put larger larger modules on our designs. So yeah, you can fit a fair amount of stuff in here. And again, like I said, if you actually wanted your regulator here, we could talk about that. We could see if we can squeeze that into the footprint of the comm itself. You just have to find a place for it on your original design, and we'll take it from there.
Yeah, I hope that answered your question there, Graham. We have a follow-up. He says, what is occupying the greened out regions?
That would be the supporting electronics, traces, space, wiggle room for high-speed signals, just a safety buffer so that we can make sure everything's connected properly.
Okay, so I'm going to go on to the next question here. So now questions are starting to pop up, Keith, so I hope you're ready. Mark Bolzern asks, could I take the Dragon board and add an Ethernet port?
Well, as a matter of fact, I will show you. We have a USB, oh wait, is that going to work? Yeah, there you go. A USB Ethernet module with a USB hub. So we've made it as flexible as possible. You can take this, as long as you got a spare GPIO left, connect it to the USB device here, add power, and you're good to go. Now you have Ethernet on your Dragon board.
Oh, there you
over
go.
USB.
That question's been popping up quite a bit. Let's see. Follow up from Mark Bolger. He says, does it have to be via USB? Does SoC not have direct ability? And so I actually know the answer to this question. From what I understand, Lawrence was the one who answered this. He said that the SoC itself, the 410 SoC, does not have Ethernet.
Oh, yeah. You know what? Honestly, I hadn't tried. I'm so used to just using Wi-Fi with everything. Ethernet hasn't popped up. So yeah, I mean, yeah, you can do it over USB. And the reason we did that is because it's so much more flexible. You can just about everything has an exposed USB, but like you said, some SoCs don't have the Ethernet available. They don't have the radio for that.
Yeah, and I'm not 100%, but that's what I from what I recall. And I know for sure the SoC doesn't have a 3.0. But yeah, I hope that helps you out there, Mark. Let's see. So we're gonna scroll back up here. We got a comment from Vav. He's in the call. He says there should be a price tag at the bottom that changes as you add and remove components. Now, that would be interesting.
It actually shows up at the top. It's right there. After the setup fee, this board right now is $150 to you. That's an estimated price, and we get more specific as we hash out the details with you. But this is just so you have an idea of what we're talking about.
No, that's great. It seems like as you type that, Vav, they just went and added it real quick to make sure.
The button was always there. It was right here. But yeah. It's not up as default because that if you look about it in your workflow, the dollar amount, yeah, it's important to the engineer, but more important is making sure that the project specs are met in advance. So it's there, and there's lots of other features that you can bring up, like you can view it by connection, you can view it by dimension, you can lock these dimensions as well. But yeah, the price feature has always been there, and it's very clear. It lets you know that it's going to be $2,000, $19.99 for us to hash out the details with you and get it made, and then you pay this amount for each unit. So
great. So we'll keep going with questions unless people start interrupting. But if you don't mind, is that all right, Keith?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm happy to answer questions.
All right, great. So Kevin asks, it sounds like a form factor packaging capability is wanted for Geppetto. How can we take the next step for a pre-silicon design to go to a Curie button size versus a dev board? How can you get a true insect size MAV?
Ooh, an insect-sized MAV. Whoa, that's small. Like right now, we haven't fully broken out the features of the Curie, even though we've put it on our Radium. But let's see. Let's just quickly go and add some components that would make up let's see. We've got our Spectrum DSM. Let's go back to connections.
So,
Need...
if you wouldn't mind, Keith, real quick explaining that question a little better to maybe someone who might not understand what was asked.
Okay, so let's see. A pre-silicon design. We want to Geppetto a pre-silicon design. That would be really hard. That is a web interface that I can't even imagine. But we can make things pretty small. Like I've already got most of the stuff I need here. And how big is this? Like this is for. Come on, wake up. It's not doing the other dimension for me. Because I don't have. Oh, come on.
So you're just basically trying to make a real.
You can make it pretty small. This is 4x2, and it's small, but it's not small enough. Pre-silicon would mean like let's design a chip. Now hardware description doesn't even do that well, and high-level language isn't particularly good at that. Doing that at a block level in this kind of interface, that would be hard.
So if you want, we can explore this in the after hours. Who asked this question here? I think it was Kevin. Kevin, if you want, we can talk a little bit more about this in the after hours with Keith if he's willing to stick around for a few more minutes. But I want to just finish off these other questions. It sounds like something that maybe Geppetto can add in later or doesn't do just yet, but we can talk about it in a little bit. So Graham asks another question. He says, "Oh, you have an interface to the high-speed signals on there too," and the question mark. Yes,
we do. We have. I believe we've met the full specification. So we've broken out all of the standard connections on the mezzanine. We're not doing any pin muxing for the Dragon board now. So, well, are we? No, we're not. So we're not using the alternate functions of each pin. So basically, exactly what's on the spec is what you can use from the mezzanine card.
great. All right. So hope that answers the question there, Graham. Next question. We already got Mark Bolzern on that question. Now, Sachin, BLE support is also there? Question mark.
BLE. We have a Y-Link 8 modem that includes BLE, but Dragon board already has Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, does it not?
Yeah, Dragon board already does have. In fact, I believe all the 96 boards that I can think of have Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. So that actually shouldn't be an issue.
It's part of the spec.
Yeah. So but you do say there is a modem on there that does offer some support.
Yeah, the Y-Link has BLE. I believe it's 4.0, as well as wireless N. No, it's a wireless BG and 2.4N.
Great. Then I hope that answers that question. Mark Bolzern asks another. He says, how about changing the SoC to one that does support Ethernet directly? So this would be kind of up to the manufacturers and the chip partner, right? I mean, they would have to put a chip on the specification that has Ethernet available directly. I think this question has come up before, and I know that there are people that go into rooms every now and then and discuss adding Ethernet to the board directly. And I'm not sure where that's at with regards to the specification itself, but it's always being talked about. So I'm not sure that's probably something that someone a little bit higher up within 96 boards or Lenaro would have to address, because I'm not exactly sure where they're at with the Ethernet situation on the 96 boards.
Well, I can answer some of that. The Ethernet situation is on the CE, it's not required, it's optional. On the EE, it's required and it's there. There are some future boards that I can't talk about. This is Dave Mandela. That will be announced soon enough that very probably could have Ethernet on them. They'll be different form factors, because on the standard CE form factor, there's no room for an Ethernet jack. On the extended form factor, there's at least one board today that has Ethernet on it, being the SD600 eval board that Arrow has. And there are some other boards coming in the future that stand by this space and have a look when they come out. That's about all I can say. But on the standard CE format, you're not going to see Ethernet just because there's no space to put the jack.
Yeah, this was brought up, and just like David said, in the CE specification, there are two form factors, just like he mentioned. You have the regular one that you kind of see us flashing around here all the time, but then you have the extended version, and the extended version does leave room for an Ethernet port. Now, it's still up to the manufacturer whether they put it on there or not, or if the chip is capable of hosting it. But I mean, you should start seeing these extended boards come out, and if the demand is high enough for Ethernet, I mean, like, I'm pretty sure they'll be putting it on there. But yeah, so that is in the spec.
Okay, I'm reading Mark's next question. I was wondering if Geppetto was strong enough to swap out the SoC, even if I need to add a bit more board space. Now, it's not powerful enough to change which SoC you're using on the 96 boards, but we can remove the 96 boards connector and add an Intel Joule or something like that. Rearrange things, have a bit more space. We already have Aero Core 2 for our Overo and Duovero modules, which are much smaller and they're narrower and give you a bit more space, afford you a bit more. So yes, you can change the connected COM to suit your space requirements. But as for defining which SoC is on the specific 96 boards that you're designing for, that is beyond the capabilities of Geppetto itself.
So you could you essentially design your own 96 boards though? Say for instance, I mean, just starting with the form factor and design it according to the specifications on Geppetto.
Not at the moment.
Is there plans for doing that?
Like I said, we designed our 96 boards for our Nodana board. It was designed in Geppetto, but that is using development-only features. So whether that goes public or not, I don't know. But we are working on things like that, where you can basically design your own COM-based SBC, or even you could use one of our. In that idea, we have a Citara AM3354 and AM4378 here that could technically go onto a single board computer like that, and just have the provide header for the COM on there. We're working on that. Okay. It's a feature we'd like to have.
Great. So Keith, I mean, we're kind of running short on time. I'd hate to, you just never know. There's a lot of people that are here and they're at work right now. And so we want to make sure that they can at least hear some of the final announcements before they have to log out. Now, I don't know if you wouldn't mind, you said we have a possible demo, or I'm guessing we have a demo next week. You'll be back with us next week. Could you maybe kind of give us a sneak peek on what you plan on talking about so people can know what's going on?
Yeah, sure. I can show you that I have a drone here to
Oh
which I
man,
have strapped down my Dragon board.
wow.
And during the demo, I will get this mezzanine card. I'm doing this half blind. On board, powered up, and hopefully we'll do a ground test and possibly a tethered test of the drone next week. I'm trying to get
Very
things
cool.
set up so I can actually start up the rotors and maybe try and get some lift. But I mean, it's going to be indoors, so we want to make sure that's safe.
Yeah. No, that's awesome, Keith. That's very cool. We look forward to it. I know I look forward to it at least. Now, hopefully, we can convince Keith and to help us out with maybe some documentation in case anyone else wants to build this at home, or his process on at least getting the Dragon board and the Aero Core 2 set up. We'll see what we can do about that. What do you think, Keith?
Absolutely, I will definitely make things public with regards to how I'm doing this.
That's awesome. Yeah, so anyone who has a Dragon board can then go to Gumsticks and acquire a Aero Core 2 board and do what Keith is doing. So it's very cool. Now, before we go, did you have anything else you wanted to announce, Keith? Because we are going to stop the recording for anyone who wants to stay afterwards. Usually we do an after hours where people kind of hang out and just informally, I go refill my coffee and we just kind of talk a little bit more. But did you have any other announcements you wanted to talk about before we
I
do the
don't.
close?
I don't have anything yet. Basically, just looking forward to getting our Nodana and Radium out there for you guys. That's gonna be great. I'm looking forward to getting our own 96 boards out there like that.
Yeah, as soon as those two boards are available for sale, we'd love to have you on here again, even after next episode. Talk about those two boards, maybe do another demo. That'd be amazing.
Absolutely, that'll be fun.
Yeah. So, but for now, if you don't mind, maybe you can stick around a few minutes after the call. The people are going to have more questions. We just need to stop the recording now.
Okay, great.
Good with that? Okay, great.
Yep.
So I'm going to do some closing remarks, some announcements. Great. Thank you, everyone who came into the 96 Boards Open Hours call today. This is, I think, our 25th episode now. So we've been going strong for quite a while. We appreciate everyone's contributions, everyone's help. Keith Lee was here from Gumsticks. He will be joining us again next week, and he will be showing us a great drone demo using the Dragon Board 410C and the Aero Core 2 from Gumsticks. Today, we talked about the Geppetto online building program for mezzanine PCB boards, anything plug and play type program that helps you build for your 96 boards, as well as among many other things. And we hope to hear a lot more about this in the next episode when we go through our demos and stuff. So we're going to stop the recording now, and we look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you, everyone, for coming to the 96 Boards Open Hours.